Do you get the sense, because you have spoken extensively on this, but do you get that sense that our politicians, the current crop of politicians, feel entitled, especially if you come from the Jubilee Party, you want some level of protection?
Every elected leader, not just in Kenya, but all over the world, must be given protection. Because the moment you go there...
Not protection in terms of security, but protection in terms of how they are handled. They should be handled better because they are in the ruling party.
Not only politicians, all Kenyans must be handled well when you are suspected to have committed a crime. And Amondo is here. He will tell you that is the minimum. I can assure you, when I was still in public service, in practicing medicine in public hospital, I would never allow a patient to be handcuffed in my ward, a prisoner that is, to be handcuffed the way they used to chain them on the beds when I'm doing a ward round. They would do it when I'm not around, because I needed that my patients be treated as the same. This is the bare minimum you can ask for from the police. And you know, what should disturb Matiang'i and Kibicho is that, as a honorable senator from Kiambu has confirmed, Mount Kenya is very peaceful when it comes to political agitation. But we saw last night that without forward planning, there were bonfires on the streets in Murang'a. They are making a statement that somebody, probably from the misguided handshake, is trying to drive Mount Kenya into a direction that they don't want to go. And that's why people are coming up now and usually lighting tires on the streets. Why don't we let Kenyans make their own decisions?
How did the handshake sneak in your statement?
The handshake is the reason. The handshake, this way, yes. The handshake is the reason. The reason why, and the commander said it, when the footage is there, that the intention is to destabilize the good working relationship between the president and the former prime minister, courtesy to the handshake. So it all boils to that. And if we're not prepared to look into each other's eye and say that let Kenyans decide, the way Matiba told us in 1992, we'll continue having these problems.
Okay. Senator for Kiambu, unless you have a pressing matter on this, I need to move on to the other topic.
Just Senator, 1 minute. You know, when I say this, Otiende is right by saying he's cautioning me, and I agree. Now I hear you. Anytime I'll be called to the police station, I'll rush there. But not when I know but my brother, yes? Not when I know why they are calling me. Not when I know why they are looking for me.
Especially when you know.
From experience, I remember
call
these
me
guys.
And I'll go with you. Yeah. Yes.
My brother, yes. Do you know the police, once upon a time, during the struggle 2 years ago, they came for me at a city hotel,
yes,
to arrest me at 9:30
p.m. a.m.
p.m. in the night,
yes.
when I was watching my favorite team, Manchester United, play. So I decided to be the Khalwale who is. You know what I did? I told the manager, okay, they have come for me. Let them start searching the hotel. And then what I did, the police should be a little bit sharp. I went to the kitchen and put on this gear of cooks and started preparing. Started preparing. You know, I was preparing chicken. I started preparing sizzling chicken. So when the police officer came, I did like this and oh sorry, it's not Guarina, and I'm the one sizzling chicken.
At least you're safe. Shubani. But you know this culture, Kenyans are so afraid of the police. I agree when you talk about Kisumu Jakoro video. Yes. Kenyans are so afraid of the police, even in traffic. They're so afraid. But
when Jem was killed, he was arrested by the police.
Okay.
Well, well, besides the amusement caused by Khalwale's revelations, that one is a good cook,
a bad cook.
and of course that he has the capacity to be at times very cantankerous, which sometimes saves him. But I would say two things, Ken, about the question you posed to the panel. Do sometimes members of parliament feel like they are entitled more than other Kenyans? And I think you have wrongly inferred that, especially when they belong to Jubilee. I don't think that it's when they belong to Jubilee. That's a culture that has slowly diminished among his members of parliament. If you look at the current crop of members of parliament, they are more enlightened, more younger, and if you find, actually, if you look at most of these politicians, even after we leave this panel, watch them out here on the street. Most of us walk maybe with one security person, sometimes even without. I can confirm to you, Ken, that in my residence, whether here in Nairobi or in Kiambu, I have no police officer guarding my home. I choose to live the way I've been living all my life as a businessman. And so I don't think that sense of entitlement is there at all. Secondly, is on how do the police behave right now? Are they reforming as they should since 2010 when the new set of laws, and especially our Supreme Law, sought to revise how they did things, and one could look at it both ways. One, I think there has been fair, substantial progress, but I don't think fast enough or quick enough to translate into what is expected by the new set of laws that we have. Sometimes you find police really over engaging in excesses, and I think part of that must be addressed, one, from the aspect of corruption. You know, until there is a clear, firm way of addressing how corruption has eaten into the police force, then you will find that battle will still be hard to win. I say that because of two things. If you look at the headlines yesterday on the robbery that was in Nairobi West, the 72 million heist, you find that most of those characters are being revealed finally to be police officers. Yeah. And this has been something that has happened for quite a long time. You remember me narrating here an incident when I was one time I almost killed near my business premises in Nairobi West by gun-toting thugs with AK-47 rifles at 1 p.m. in the daytime, as I was walking across to have lunch with a friend, and we were made to lie down by gun-toting fellows. They robbed somebody. They were threatening to shoot me. After that, thanks to God, I was never shot. And then months after, as I walk into one of the police stations, the same guy, dressed the same way, in the same gear, I find him standing at the stairs of the police station with a Peugeot 504 that he's boarding to go. That was quite some years back. And you know, and that my story is not only, it's not only mine, it's all over. That's what had been happening. And I believe, yes, and I mean, how many people have been carjacked in this country, and once they go to report, they say, I remember one lady reporting that she was carjacked, and then when she went to one of the police stations here in Pangani, found the carjacker is the one who was at the OB book, you know, after she had. So, but I believe that is why the reforms have been there. I believe that maybe some of the drastic moves taken, for example, in disbanding some of those regiments that we had, like I think there was one that was disbanded. Was it Flying Squad? I think and Kwekwe and others. I think some of them were being disbanded because rogue elements had managed to infiltrate into the police, and sometimes they have been terrorists themselves to the public. So in terms of conduct, I believe we must tell the Inspector General of Police, we must tell Kinoti as the DCI, and all other people concerned in the force that they still have a lot of work to do. Okay. Let me summarize this by saying, because when we speak, I believe we speak on behalf of Kenyans. If you remember, right at the turn of this decade, when we started in the early 2000s, again, it's good to jog our memories. Remember, there was a time it was extremely unsafe to board a matatu in Nairobi. Every evening, you would hear out of probably 3 or 4 routes, a matatu has been carjacked, people have been stripped and robbed, others shot. If you listened most of those people who are carjacking those matatus were police officers. That's what I'm saying, that we have to tell them and the bosses, we appreciate that they have done a bit, but they have a lot much more to do in terms of civil behavior when it comes to probably apprehending suspects. For example, if it is politicians, if it is people suspected of crimes like economic crimes, I believe that it has got to be done in a more civil way. It is good to follow the law. There's a law, there's a set of laws. I don't believe, for example, assume you are to go for Otiende Amolo, somebody who has been a lawyer, has been the ombudsman, has a family, has a huge investment in this country. Why would one want to think that because you're looking for Otiende Amolo, he has any reason to run out of this country? If you told him tomorrow, as you have said, be at the police station, and then we have found you have a case to answer, tomorrow at 10, be at the court of law, this is your papers to present, he'll be there. And I believe sometimes some of that unnecessary dramatization and intimidation, for that matter. And that's why you said correctly, Ken, that why are Kenyans just so afraid of the police? Sometimes when you see the guy in uniform, you just panic. You can't even, if you ask to express yourself, you can't even express yourself. Okay. Most Kenyans are terrorized in the mind. They carry that fear because of some of those things. I think it is important that we bring the police service to a level that is congruent with what has happened in the other sectors of this economy and this country.
Jakoi, you want to say something? Yes.
You know, when we occasioned the new constitution, I suggested many times in Parliament that our first police IG should come from Commonwealth somewhere, particularly Canada, Ghana, or the UK, to come not to become a cop, but to help us rewrite our police training manuals. And then, because we were doing it after the post-election violence, what we needed to do was to put some counseling centers to counsel the police that the politicians had taken through that frustration. Remember, all these policemen, like the ones who killed Baby Pendo, the ones who shot somebody yesterday, all those, they are not the true image of our police. They are good cops. But they are the ones who I saw the day Raila came from Germany, the day Uhuru and Ruto were being sworn in, how the police were throwing live bullets at toilets. I was in Kisumu. I saw how police were killing these kids like chicken. But when it is all over, we let them to fend for themselves. They then must be thugs because they have tasted blood. I think to move the debate forward, the parliamentarians who are here, the senators and Honorable Tiende, I think Parliament needs to help the system and put up a fund to rehabilitate our police because something is amiss. Okay. And we could do that. And I wanted to say what I have heard on the street in the last couple of months, that this new IG, having come from the intelligence, the mainstream police have sworn to sabotage him, and hence the aggression. They need to investigate that. If it's not good enough for the mainstream police, I think it's an issue we can revisit. And lastly, I wanted to weigh in on what Senator Cheriot said about every debate being about 2022.
Yes.
Ken, this is my view. Both the Kileweke team and the Tanga team, don't you think there's enough fodder out there that if you went to Muranga, you could tell people that taxes are too high? This is how we would do it if we took power. Yeah. That there's police brutality. This is how we would do it if we took power. As opposed to hurling abuses or abuse at one another, which takes the debate to personalities. Because I think, I said here many times, that I've gone through NASA manifesto and Jubilee manifesto. There's nothing in those documents that intends or intended to help Kenya either way. So I think it is time. We're in the 21st century. There's so much that is wrong that even if we did a few, as a government would look like it cares about Kenyans. And it will read us from, I mean, we will think of politicians as to how much they love us and what is in their brains, not how much chest they can thump.
Okay.